After the NBA draft, it is now the start of the new season, and the Celtics sit atop the power rankings. To start free agency, Chris Middleton gets dealt back to Milwaukee. Milwaukee last year didn't even make it out of the play-in, and they seem to be very desperate to make another championship push with Giannis. Giannis is now 29 years old and looking to be still in his prime, so any years that are not spent gunning for the championship is a waste of his career. LeBron James signs with the Lakers for another year, which obviously adds interest. Is LeBron going to the Minnesota Timberwolves to join Bronny, or will Bronny be traded to the Lakers? The Lakers do have assets to move for him, so it'll be interesting to see what happens in the future. And for the biggest move of free agency, Xavier Booker gets traded for Kevin Durant. Durant goes to Miami, joining Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo, Jimmy Butler, and Fred VanVleet. This Miami team is already a contender. With Kevin Durant added, this is now a top dog to win the finals. Kevin Durant and Jimmy Butler are both 36 and 35 years old, and with Kevin Durant's contract only having 2 years left, this seems to be a desperate move to win another championship in Miami. Jumping into a rookie rivalry, the Detroit Pistons play the Charlotte Hornets. On tip-off, Victor Wembanyama wins the tip. Will O'Neal and Victor Wembanyama are both 7'4", and Victor's a sophomore, and Will O'Neal just got drafted 2nd overall to the Charlotte Hornets team. Cade Cunningham has been putting on a show for this whole year, leading his team to wins, and Victor Wembanyama has proved why he probably was the #1 overall prospect going into last year's draft. This improved Charlotte team hopes to advance further than they did last year. They get Keegan Murray to play that small forward position they've been needing, and getting Will O'Neal is a better placement than Andre Drummond. Can they get further into the playoffs is a testament to see, and both teams look good going early into the year. And the Pistons edge out the win 109-101 with Jaden Ivey leading the way. And for the next matchup, we have the #1 ranked in the power rankings, the Boston Celtics, versus John Cookley and the Russell Westbrook-led San Antonio Spurs. John Cookley is one of the most interesting prospects ever. He's like a Kevin Durant, but more at center. He's like Kevin Durant, but he's more of a big man. He's bigger, he gets in the post, he gets the post moves, he's a better defender, but he's obviously not as shifty, not as good as a ball handler. But he can stretch the floor, and he can create his own shot on the perimeter or in the post. And for Boston, the only thing on their mind is winning the championship. With their total team style of play on offense and in defense, they hope to get back into the promised land. Last year, they were a pretty disappointing team. If I'm not mistaken, they lost in the first round, and that's a very big disappointment for Danny Ainge and the Boston Celtics, and they look to improve on that going into next year, which they most likely will, as they walk away with the win easily against San Antonio. Next up, we have the rivalry of the Houston Rockets with the #1 overall pick, Izzy Ball, versus the Memphis Grizzlies. Last year, they met in the playoffs, the Rockets upsetting the Memphis Grizzlies in a sweep, the 1-8 seed sweep, first time in NBA history that has been done, and Izzy was a big contributor to that. Ja Morant has vocalized the fact that he is very disgruntled with the fact that they lost last year. When you're the #1 seed, you should not be losing to the 8 seed. Last year, a big contributor to that was there wasn't that much of a difference from the 1-8 seed. Last year, in comparison to other years, there usually is a way bigger gap of talent, and the Grizzlies look to bounce back in this regular season matchup. And what happened on this play, I do not know, but it ends up in the hand of Jaren Jackson. What a pump fake, gets both of them jumping and hits it. It's a very tight and contested game. Jalen Green misses. Ja Morant, the former MVP, drains the 3 with only 57 seconds left, and 42 hits the fadeaway. I really don't know who that is, and Izzy misses the shots, and Ja Morant misses a free throw. Jabari runs it up the court to Izzy. Last shot, it was contested, and Ja Morant wins the battle. Izzy had a great performance, and it wasn't enough tonight. Ja Morant puts up a great stat line, leading his team to the victory. And in Madison Square Garden, we will witness Kevin Durant versus the New York Knicks. Recently drafted We will see if he will turn out to be a Kristaps or more like a Kevin Knox. Being a 6'9" shooting guard, we hope to see more of a Tracy McGrady type player. But Kevin Durant on this Miami team has rejuvenated this Miami team. They are now 18-3, and they have just been on a tear this league. They are for sure the best team in the league, and they have just a great starting five and a good bench. Christian Green has been a good rookie this year, but he did struggle tonight, and so did Kevin Durant, but players like Jimmy Butler makes up for it. The Heat have the number 6 offense in the league, but have the number 1 defense, forcing Christian Green into multiple tough takes. As Kevin Durant continues to struggle, Bam Adebayo with the athletic putback, the potential all-star showing up in the big moments, and Christian Green, even though he's averaging 20 points a game, cannot get the clutch shot to go, and the New York Knicks fall to the great Miami Heat. And in the next game, we have the Raptors versus Nets. We get a look at Xavier Booker, the number 1 overall pick that got traded for Kevin Durant. Chris Middleton is obviously gone from the Brooklyn Nets. And then for the Raptors, they got Demetrius Augustine and DJ Wagner, both guards, so it's going to be interesting to see how they progress together. Pascal Siakam is not that young anymore. He's around his 30s, so it's going to be interesting if they move him. And where will Kyrie Irving go? Because the Nets are obviously rebuilding at this point, so the question becomes, where will he go? DJ Wagner has been a potential Rookie of the Year candidate so far. Demetrius Augustine has been somewhat behind him. It's clear that they are focusing on DJ Wagner, rightfully so, as they look impressive so far through the season. Going into the game, Sean Taylor had a back muscle injury. Lakers versus Mavericks. Sean Taylor will end up playing. He will be a little bit limited, but he will play in tonight's game. Obviously, it's going to be interesting to see what Luka can do with this team. They get Sean Taylor, but is this team a contender or more of a first or second round out? For the Lakers, it is clear, get Anthony Davis the ball and LeBron can be the playmaker, as Anthony Davis has been averaging around 30 points a game in the first 10 games. He has slowed down a little bit, but with Tyron Smith off the bench adding some depth, this Laker team looks like they could make a shot at it to win the NBA championship. What Sean Taylor brings to the Mavericks is great defense and a good shooter that can take you off the dribble at the wing position, which does fit in perfectly for this Dallas offense. But will it be enough to beat teams like the Lakers in the first or second round, as the Lakers win this matchup and they look like they have something to prove going into the playoffs and further into the season? Now it's time to see the All-NBA rookie first team, Paul Thompson versus Joel Embiid. Paul Thompson has been a great addition to this Wizards team, so has Ben Simmons. They have absolutely created a new foundation of defense for Washington. Bradley Beal seems to be a little more happy than usual, but there's still going to be time to see if he gets traded in the near future. This Wizards team seems to be improving fast from previous years. There has even been rumors of signing John Wall back for a reunion of sorts. And with only Joel Embiid, this Sixers group has been struggling. Relying on Embiid is dangerous due to his common injury problems, especially in the playoffs. With the addition of Sengun, this Wizards team seems to be on the right track, getting new young pieces, but the one player that kind of does not fit that mold is Bradley Beal. It will be interesting to see his future on this team and for other players in the same situation like Damian Lillard. But like Lillard, Bradley Beal is also extremely clutch, and he goes for the mid-range and he hits it, wins the game for the Wizards in Philadelphia. A great game for Beal, 29 points, great game for Paul Thompson, and someone that's been showing up for the 76ers team is Buddy Hield, and the Wizards slowed him down. Great win for Washington. And now it's time for the Timberwolves and Nuggets. It's going to be interesting to see how Christian Kelly and Cam Johnson fit together with Jokic and Jamal Murray. They're joining a team that is already young and has some experience together. That could be in the playoffs. Last year they were struggling, and Christian Kelly has been a good addition. He can spread the floor out, and Cam Johnson is somewhat like a Zion type of player, obviously not as hyped up. And Bronny James for the Timberwolves. Of course, it's going to be interesting to see if maybe LeBron goes to Minnesota or if he gets traded to LA, which a lot of people say that will happen. The Nuggets are currently 8-12 and the 14th seed in the Western Conference, but they're only 4.5 games from being the number 1 seed. To end the season, I think the Nuggets are going to be around a 45 win team, and they're going to go back to their winning ways. So it's going to be for other Western Conference teams, especially ones that are around the 5 seed to 8 seed area. And the Nuggets have players like Amari Bailey, who has been a good scoring punch off the bench, as the Nuggets win 124 to 107 against the reigning Western Conference champs. Looking at Oklahoma and Utah, it's clear Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is an up-and-coming great player, while James Harden is taking less of the usage for the Jazz. Players like Mikal Bridges and Jameer Ware take some of the load off, and it's been working for them, as they're currently the 2nd seed in the West at 12-7. And the Thunder last year were a surprise team, but barely missed the playoffs. With the addition of athletic forward William Wilson in the draft, the Thunder look to bounce back this year. And by beating Jazz by 6 points is a good way to start. The Thunder are the 2nd best offense in the league, scoring 122.8 points a game. And this 151-point performance by the team in only 4 quarters is hopefully a sign of things to come in the future. Jameer Ware has been having a great sophomore season. In just 35 minutes a game, he is putting up 19 points per game, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists, with around 2 blocks, on over 50% shooting from the field. And after shooting only 30% from the 3-point line last year, he is now shooting 41% this year. It is only a little sample size, but it is signs of things to come. And when we look at injuries, the biggest injury is Kevin Love. A bright spot of that is William Wilson will get some extra touches, but obviously Kevin Love is a vital piece of that Thunder team. The very clear thing is that Miami is just one of the top teams in the entire NBA. They're on pace to win around 68 to 70 games in the entire season, and there is some bright spots like the Jazz. Like I said, they are the 2nd seed. The Thunder are getting up there. The Rockets are performing even though they lost Sengun and Jayshawn Tate, so there are some bright spots to look forward to this year. Looking at some stats, Christian Green has gotten the green light to score in New York, and it's been working well for his early Rookie of the Year case. He's such an entertaining talent to watch due to his great scoring ability and athleticism. To me, he looks like a future All-NBA player in this league. And for players like Will O'Neal, his points per game has been low, but it's not surprising when you look at the talent on the team they're playing on. Mikey Williams leaving OKC to join Detroit has somewhat backfired, as the lack of talent on the Pistons team has lowered Williams' field goal percentage. The sophomore class of 2024 to 2025 has been performing great all around. The league seems to be in safe hands for the future. And that's the end of the video. Thank y'all for watching. If you want to join the Discord to create a player for the next draft, link in the description, and peace.